No, you're just going to go into it.
No, you need to introduce him. Tell him we're starting our service with a song, and you can tell us the name of the song, and you can just jump right in.
All right. Well, they haven't introduced me yet, but that's fine. I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Leo, also known as Yahweh's Ministry on TikTok and also on Instagram too. Uh, but yeah, so I'm going to sing a song. I'm going to start with worship and praise because it's very important. We need to praise Him every day and thank Him. But I really like this song. It's by Jason Gray, and it's called Good to Be Alive. Here we go. Hold on. Is this really the life that I'm living? 'Cause I don't feel like I deserve it. Every day that I wake, every breath that I take, that you give it. So right here, right now, while the sun is shining down, I wanna live like there's no tomorrow, love, like I'm on borrowed time.
It's good.
It's good to be alive. Hold on, if the life that we have been given is made beautiful in the living, and the joy that we get brings joy to the heart of the giver. Then right here, right now, this the song I'm singing out. I wanna live like there's no tomorrow, love, like I'm on borrowed time. It's good to be alive. I wanna live like there's no tomorrow, love, like I'm on borrowed time. It's good to be alive. And I won't take it for granted. I won't waste another second. All I want is to give you a life well lived, to say thank you. I wanna live like there's no tomorrow, love, like I'm on borrowed time. It's good to be, it's good to be alive. I wanna live like there's no tomorrow, love, like I'm on borrowed time. It's good to be alive. I wanna live like there's no tomorrow, love, like I'm on borrowed time. It's good to be alive.
Well,
That was good, Leo. Did you write that? Uh-oh.
It's fine. No, I didn't write that. No, I didn't write that. But that's from Jason Gray.
Oh, you didn't say that, did
yes, he did.
you?
Yeah, and it's called "Good to Be Alive." And let me tell you, it's a beautiful song, man. And we need to be thankful, that we're alive, and alive, especially in these crazy times, right? Right, these interesting times.
Yep. There we go. Oh, oops.
He's playing with the mouse again.
No, I'm trying to get see. There we go. All right, there.
Yeah. Well, what does the Bible say that the length of man shall live?
Yeah.
70.
10.
Well, I'm there. So from here on out, I'm on borrowed time.
That's it. I mean, that's it. We are on borrowed time. We
Your
are.
song just reminded me of that. From here on out, I'm on borrowed time.
That's good, yeah. So there we go. So we are going to be talking about
Don't forget.
the scientific ways to prove the Bible.
No, it wasn't scientific.
It's something like that. Oh man.
It made you think scientific. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because the Bible can't be proven scientifically wrong or mathematically wrong or any kind of
This has to do with events in the Bible.
events in the Bible. All right.
We're looking at 20 pieces of evidence that support events in the Bible.
Mm.
So that should be the title of this
Yeah, it is.
Star Trek podcast. It's not a podcast.
Podcast, broadcast. I've called it a podcast before. I mean, there we go. That's good.
So here we're going to start with the intro. Although one cannot deny the cultural impact of the Bible, with estimated total sales surpassing 5 billion, and is widely regarded as the most read book in history. That's $5 billion. The historical accuracy of the ancient text has remained a question of concern. Compiled over centuries by disparate authors, many of whom possess curious ideological motivations, as well as often decades, if not longer, after the events being detailed, it is not surprising that the historical or historicity of the Bible is dubious in many instances. In spite of this, the Bible remains an important source of early Near East history, and many of the core elements of the biblical narrative bearing noteworthy resemblance to real-world events and people. So, here are 20 pieces of evidence that support at least parts of the historical narrative of the Bible. So we're counting down, going from 20 to 1 instead of 1 to 20. Despite serving as one of the key prognosicists of the Old Testament, the historical existence of King David long remained in doubt. Now that was a little shocking for me. I thought maybe history proved that he existed.
Yeah. Well, it does. It does prove that he existed.
Well, they're saying there's no history of him. So
What proof do they have?
They must have found
What proof do they have?
Yeah.
So, although appearing as one of the more prominent figures of the Old Testament, famed for slaying Goliath, becoming ruler of the kingdom of Israel, and fathering Solomon, the historicity of King David remained a matter of dispute for centuries, lacking any direct evidence of his existence outside of the Bible itself. Historical opinion coalescing around the ancient monarch as an apocryphal figure. This is until as recently as 1993. The Tel Dan Steel, that's capital T-E-L, capital D-A-N, capital S-T-E-L-E. A broken stone slab bearing an inscription was discovered by archaeologists in northern Israel, carrying the earliest known references to the Judaic monarch. So it sounds like he had a headstone or something. During the late 9th or earliest 8th century BCE, the inscribed stone monument commemorates the victory of the king of Damascus over two rival enemies. Contained within the celebratory phrase, archaeologists identified the phrase once translated House of David. While some scholars have challenged the resultant interpretation, most historians have accepted this inscription as proof that a royal house bearing the biblical character's name did indeed exist in the ancient Near East. However, it should be noted that historians continue to dispute the existence of a united monarchy of the Kingdom of Israel under King David as depicted in the Bible. So I wonder what they're saying.
What do you think, Leo?
Well, that last part, if you could read that last part again, because that was the interesting part about it. The very last, I think the last sentence you read.
It says, however, it should be noted that historians continue to dispute the existence of a united monarchy of the Kingdom of Israel under King David as depicted in the Bible.
Yeah, because I mean, okay. So for me, what's interesting about the whole historical account is that, every time when I think of history, like I don't look at history the way the world sees history. I look at it as it's his story, right? He created everything. So it's his story. Obviously we don't have all the answers. We don't have all the evidence necessary, to back up every single claim.
Yeah.
Right. But I believe that, and I think David and I, we talked about this, that, we're never fully going to understand the Bible in its entirety. And we're not going to understand what has been put in and what has been taken out, and that's where I think faith has a lot to do with it. Faith has a lot to do with, believing that King David actually went through the things that he went through, and those situations that he went through, that how it affects us today, how we can use it as an example today, and that through those examples in King David, we can learn from them, and they actually show that he existed because we're going through it now.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't the first king.
Oh yeah, there were many of them.
So I was wondering if they have any evidence of the existence of King Saul.
Yeah, I know they found evidence of Joseph in Egypt. They found evidence of Joseph. Remember how Joseph was the one that he was the second in command of Pharaoh? They found evidence of Joseph. They actually found a statue of him. Yeah.
Well, I know they ain't gonna find his bones there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right.
Well, that's one of them stipulations where he said he told him if they ever left Egypt to take his bones back with him.
Yeah.
He wanted to be buried in the land of his fathers.
Yeah, and I think that's important too. It says that a lot, especially it's in Genesis, right? I think it says it a lot in Genesis about when people died, they'd have to be in a certain place. They would have to, they would have to take the remains and put it in a certain place. Yeah, I've always wondered why that's so. Why that was. I know people have traditions, they have customs and things like that, but I think there may be something deeper to that.
Well, there is. We have it's a Bible museum in LaGrange, Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll show you how the people lived. They show you the threshing floor. They'll show you the house. They'll show you the judgment seat or the bema seat that was placed by the city gate where the mayor sat in court. That's like where King David would have sat Solomon would have said when them two ladies claimed the same baby.
Oh yeah.
Well, the Jewish tradition, from what they were explaining, they would carve out the side of a mountain a sepulcher, and what they would do is that they would make 9 slabs inside the sepulcher to lay bodies, and they'd lay there until the bones fell apart from each other. The sinew that holds the joints together, that's the last thing to decay. And once they decay, the bones just fall apart.
Yeah.
Well, underneath the sepulcher, where they lay the body, there's an opening they carved out and hollowed out, and they throw them bones in that carved out hole, and they believed that, and they said that was Abraham's bosom. So when you read about Abraham's bosom in the New Testament, they're mixing Greek mythology with Jewish tradition.
Right.
So so the Jews call that Abraham's bosom, and if you're not buried with your family, you do not get to see them in the afterlife.
Ah, I see.
So that's why Joseph wanted to be carried back to be buried with his fathers, so he could see his family in the afterlife.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep, that's true.
Interesting.
But if there was a kingdom of Israel, and it had to be, it started with Saul. All David did, he didn't exactly unite the kingdom. He increased its boundaries.
Yeah.
By conflict. He just made it bigger than what it was.
Well, yeah. I mean, wasn't that the goal that Yahweh God did? That he says, "I'm going to make you a great nation." You're the small. You're the small group of Israel, but I'm going to make you a great nation, and you are going to have many, many descendants.
Well, like they said, there's going to be. It's kind of like different interpretations of the Bible.
Yep.
You got different scholars disagreeing with this one here. So, but Christians are going to believe it by faith.
Yeah.
I mean, without David, you wouldn't have Jesus. Put it that way.
Right, because he was through the what is it? The lineage? Is it the lineage?
Yeah, the
The
line of
lineage of
David.
David. Yeah, the lineage of David. Right. It's through David. Right.
And all this writing in the New Testament saying that Jesus came from the lineage of David. You'd hear someone won't be healed. Yep. Call Jesus the son of David.
Mm-hmm.
So they knew he was from the line of David.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There may not be no physical evidence, but
yeah.
2,000 years ago ain't back like 3,000 years ago. So. What am I doing? Oh, the next one. We're jumping into the next one here. The supposed childhood home of Jesus, the city of Nazareth, was believed to have been a myth until recent archaeological discoveries brought this consensus into question.
Ooh.
I wonder how many layers of dirt was over it. The alleged city of Jesus' childhood, the existence of the city of Nazareth, has not always been an accepted fact. All the settlement exists today, located in the northern district of modern-day Israel, with a population of tens of thousands. No evidence supporting the concurrent survival of Nazareth during the years of biblical relevance has been uncovered. Even the biblical narrative on the subject was hazy, the Gospel of Luke claiming that Nazareth was the home village of Mary as well as the site of the Annunciation, whilst the Gospel of Matthew asserted Joseph and Mary merely settled in Nazareth after the flight from Bethlehem. Lacking historical evidence, after the Bronze Age seemingly disappeared for the duration of the Assyrian, Babylonian, Persian, Hellenistic, or early Roman periods, opinion shifted to the belief that at some point around 720 BCE, Nazareth was destroyed by the Syrians, who also destroyed many other cities in the region. However, recent decades have seen Israeli archaeologists successfully excavate remains of the presumed location of Nazareth, dating from the early Roman period and the time of Jesus' birth. Challenging the centuries-old consensus, the debate has now resumed regarding the existence of human occupation in Nazareth at the start of the Common Era. I know, I hope it's not in here, but I know they've excavated Sodom and Gomorrah.
Right. Yep.
And found 2 or 3 cities under it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Maybe even a pillar of salt.
And I'd read somewhere where I think it's that pool that the man couldn't get into with water stirring. They've uncovered that one here not too long ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. That surprised me that it disappeared.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. No, did y'all hear what I said earlier? I was making a joke, but y'all probably didn't hear me. I was saying, no, they probably found a pillar of salt too.
That's good.
No, that one's long been consumed. Somebody took her and put her in a salt shaker.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For real, man. Maybe it took 2,000 years for that to happen too. You know, to dispense the salt, you know?
Oh, that's good.
Oh, boy. Okay, on down to 18. Although not confirming the plagues of Egypt as an act of divine retribution, archaeological evidence and natural science have provided evidence that these events likely did occur. As claimed in the book of Exodus, the plagues of Egypt comprised 10 calamities inflicted upon the Egyptians by God to compel Pharaoh to allow the enslaved Israelites to depart.
Mm-hmm.
Although some historians continue to argue these events merely serve as an allegorical exaggeration, strong evidence suggests that the so-called plagues likely did happen in one form or another. Believed to have affected the ancient city of Pi-Ramses, situated in the Nile Delta, and which served as the capital of Egypt during the reign of Ramses II. Archaeological evidence helps corroborate natural explanations for the disaster. Rising temperatures or drought naturally changed the color of the Nile. affecting the spread of bacteria and algae. This environmental change triggered a blight, forcing frogs populations to abandon the river before dying. The absence of frogs led to a dramatic increase in insects. These insects brought disease, infecting livestock.
Wow.
What?
I said, wow, that's awesome.
It sounds like a domino effect.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what it sounds like.
Most prominently, the thunderstorm of fire, unrelated to the symbiotic interconnectivity of the first 6 plagues, is widely believed to refer to the eruption of Thera in 628 BC, estimated to have been one of the largest volcanic eruptions in recorded history. Ash deposits dating from this event have been found in the Nile region. Now, I've heard of, I think this volcano was somewhere around Italy, and that had to be catastrophic for ashes to go as far as the Nile River.
Yeah.
But I've seen this on somebody. It must have been a documentary on TV that they were showing where this was at. And that I don't know what kind of category you would describe an eruption of a volcano, but this one was pretty big.
You mind if I say something on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I don't know if I mentioned this before in the lives because I have a horrible memory, but I'm going to try anyway. But remember, I think I told y'all that the first it was a flood, right? Now the next flood is going to be by fire. Okay, it's going to purify us, right? And the reason why I say that is because there are volcanoes under the water, and there's volcanoes all over the world. And wouldn't it make sense that at the proper time, at the appointed time, when God says that all these things erupt, right? All these volcanoes erupt at the same time, that it can literally cover the world in molten lava, you know?
It kind of make the ocean like hot water, wouldn't it?
Yeah. You'd have this massive hot tub. That's what you would have. You'd have this massive hot tub.
I don't want to lose weight that way.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But yeah. Go ahead.
Kind of like my idea that you know the Earth is still being created. Every time you have especially an island, if it's got a volcano and the lava comes down the hill and hits the ocean, it starts piling up itself. It's making the landmass bigger.
Yep.
This happened to Hawaii not too long ago. One of their volcanoes done that. It goes down into the water and it starts cooling off, and it's just adding to the landmass. So I see God still letting the earth create itself.
Yeah, and I mean even with the Euphrates River, remember how I'm sure you've heard already that they're talking about the Euphrates River that is drying up, and that's actually in prophecy that the Euphrates River is supposed to dry up. And wouldn't it make sense that God, at His appointed time, would make the sun just hot enough, right, to evaporate the water from the Euphrates? You know what I'm saying?
That's already happened.
Yeah.
It already happened?
That's nothing new. That's something that's happened. Probably, I mean,
it happened during
because
it happened during
wait.
It happened during Trump's administration.
Right, but you know.
Oh, it did. Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware. I wasn't aware.
Well,
I guess.
It wasn't any natural phenomenon.
Okay.
There's a dam that goes across that river.
Yeah.
Okay.
ISIS took control of the dam and stopped the water flow. The riverbed down below dried up, and they could go back and forth across the bottom down there.
Right.
Okay.
You could dry it up right now by just closing the water off on that dam. Nobody ever thought about using the dam to dry it up with.
Yeah.
They think it's going to happen naturally
Right.
dry up.
Yeah.
But man could dry that up right now.
Yeah. But then again, if you think about through history, I mean, we have a lake, Oxford Lake here, right? I've seen it. I worked there for, how long? 20, not 20 years, but 15, maybe 13, 14.
You start when you was a teenager?
Yeah, I did. So
how old are you now?
29.
So you was like 14 when you started?
14, 15, sounds about right.
Oh, no.
But anyway, with that being said, we've seen it dry up naturally, and does that mean that's fulfilling prophecy? No, because it's a natural occurrence. So whenever the Euphrates dries up, it's nothing to be freaked out about, because there has to be other things to happen along in that place.
Tell them how deep Oxford Lake is.
You can walk straight to the island. That's how shallow it is.
So it wouldn't take much to dry it up.
But then again, the result's still the same,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, even though it's not, like it's still happening.
Because yes, the Euphrates is going to dry up, right?
Yeah.
It's going to dry up. That's but you gotta think, just because the Euphrates River dries up doesn't mean that's prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of other things have to come along for that,
There's definitely a lot of
prophecy.
Let's go back to the Babylonian Empire. That the Medo-Persians conquered them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the Euphrates ran right smack dab through the city.
Right.
And each side of the city is walled in, even along the river. And they got these towers, and they got drawbridges they could let down and let up.
Yeah.
Well, Cyrus come up with a plan to get into the city. Isaiah prophesied this 150 years before it actually happened, and he named Cyrus as the one doing it.
Right.
Can you imagine naming the guy that's going to come in and conquer you 150 years before it happens?
Yep.
That's something, huh?
What he did is he detoured the Euphrates River around the city.
Mm-hmm.
What he did, that left a path for them to go where the Euphrates was.
Yeah.
And they were having a party in there.
Right.
And they left the bridges down. They thought they were safe. They knew they had enough food,
right,
that they could outlast any siege. But imagine their surprise.
Yeah.
Here comes the Persians.
Really? Yeah.
The Persians, the Persians to purge, huh?
So imagine after they conquered the city, imagine he put the river back on its course.
Yeah.
Go through the city again.
Right.
So I guess you could say Euphrates dried up then.
Right. Yeah.
Just by detouring it.
But then again, if you want to talk about prophecy, I can talk about prophecy all day long, all night long, but I'm not going to do it because, it's just, I think it's something that David can also to test, we've done this prophecy thing for what, almost 2 years, almost 3 years actually. So it's like, but I will say this. You got something that is. I was talking to someone last night, and and I'm thinking you can't be that stupid because there's a lot more to it than just saying, you got A, B, C, and D, right? And A, B, C, and D is going on. But what about the rest of the letters? There's other letters in the alphabet, and there's other numbers in the numerical system. So it all has to be. It all has to be.
Are you saying it also has to be sequential?
Not sequential per se, but so the Euphrates. We'll just take the Euphrates River. The Euphrates River dries up. All right, fair enough. Number two, we see the two witnesses come and prophesy the next day. Or number three, something else happens, something else happens, and something else happens. So not everything's going on at the same time, but it's going.
Don't you understand my definition?
On day by day by day, you start seeing it. Now, God.
Yeah, see, that's where I differ with you. You're saying.
I know you differ with me, David.
You're saying. See, I see things. I see C and D going on at the same time.
Well,
you might not see it.
Yeah, I know that. I know that you can. I know that's.
Well, I would say this. I would say, and like I said, I know we're all being respectful here, but I would say that we shouldn't ignore prophecy. I would say that we should not ignore it. We should be aware of these things, but that doesn't mean that we need to be like freaking out over them. Like I know what you're saying.
Oh,
David.
yeah.
We shouldn't be freaking out over it, because the Bible's clear. It says that we should be aware, but it also says, brother, what time it is. What's happening in the earth right now. You know what I'm saying? Like it even says that too. So, we should be aware of these things. So, and again, no one has the right answer. No one knows, okay, because this is happening, that means that this is going to happen, right? Because we just can't predict that, we can't predict those things.
Well, here's my theory.
Oh no,
on prophecy.
Here's the chicken man theory. Go ahead. Oh my goodness, I need to get a refill for this one. Go ahead, David.
I don't need any more.
You don't need any more? No. You don't need
when you get to end of Malachi, and they say, well, God hadn't spoke to Israel for 400 years. And the next time they speak to him is through Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got to go back to the book of Daniel and say, look, Daniel telling you what's going to happen in the 400 years.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to speak to his people. He done spoke to you through Daniel. And I think Revelation is the same way. It may have been prophesied about almost 2,000 years ago, but like Daniel, it started and we've been in it, just like the 400 years that Daniel talked about was going to happen before Jesus came.
But I do have to ask.
But see, I'm going to tell you that's my theory.
Yeah, that's the chicken man theory, right?
Yeah.
We call it that so no one else gets blamed for it. But that they're already making the Dome of the Rock. Like they're making that he will make a covenant with many. If that's Jesus, I don't know who. I mean, I don't know what's going on over there at the Dome of the Rock because it's happening now. I talked to someone that has
that Dome of the Rock,
information on it.
that Dome of the Rock
That's something, you know.
that Dome of the Rock is going to have to be eliminated for them to build the temple there.
Are you talking about that treaty? The treaty that's made within 10 days or something like that?
That's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. I just want to make. Okay.
What I've told him that there's going to be no third temple.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I mean, I've heard things. Like I said, we hear things. They say they have the red heifer already. They say that they're already going to start performing the sacrifices. Which I'm going to tell you right now, that right there is going to anger our Creator. Okay, because from the beginning, he established the offers and sacrifices for a reason because Jesus was not present during that time. Okay, and that's what go ahead.
That's why there's going to be no third temple. If you can go on the internet and draw up the temple the way it is and where the Dome of the Rock is and where the temple originally sits. Well, the temple originally is supposed to sit right where the Dome of the Rock is. If you're going to build a third temple, you can't build it beside it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at the way the temple is laid out in Herod's time, that outside court was the Gentile court.
Okay.
No Jew is going to compromise putting a temple in the Gentile court.
Okay. Yeah.
When this person comes on, they're going to see this guy as being the Christ. The Jews do not believe that Jesus came,
But
came.
If that's the,
so when this person comes, says, "Hey George, here, build a temple, build a dang temple. It's going to happen."
But like,
do you remember the Trump coin? You remember the Trump coin? You remember the Trump coin?
If it's going to happen, this guy is going to have to convince the Muslims to turn over the Dome of the Rock, and that ain't going to happen.
It's going to happen.
They're not going to turn it over.
He will make a covenant with many,
No,
with the world, not just Israel, not just Oxford, Alabama, not just Georgia, not just Linwood, Kansas.
Okay.
Hey, Linwood, Kansas. It's going to be the whole world. It's going to impact all of us. It will impact every one of us.
He is misinterpreting Daniel chapter 9.
Here we go.
24 through 27. He's misinterpreting that.
What and look, I'm gonna say this too. The Trump, you heard about Trump, right? They made a coin. They literally made a coin with Trump and Cyrus on it, and they had the temple on there because they're claiming that they're gonna do that. So they even have a coin that shows that they want to build that third temple.
Well, yeah, because
you see, it's all lining up, but now with that being said, how did we get off on this, David?
I don't know. We were talking
you, but
we were talking about the plagues in Egypt.
That was it. But
Okay.
one more thing, and we get to it, but nobody knows the day or the hour, not even Satan or Jesus or whatever. Only God knows. But here's
That's right.
You got people all through history doing all who's probably the Antichrist. I would go on to say
Who would be the Antichrist?
Huh?
Who would be the Antichrist?
Yeah.
Yeah, and many of Antichrists have already come. Yeah, and many Antichrists have already come too. Let's don't forget that.
I'm not talking about many Antichrists. I'm talking about the Antichrist.
Yeah, the one that's talked about.
There's a big difference there. Now,
Well, the Mormon said you can be a god and have your own universe.
Shoot, I'm there. Yes. But, who's to say that Hitler wasn't the Antichrist? You
Mhm.
know, who's not to say? Now I know this is controversial. If you don't like controversial, shut it off now. But what about Obama at that time? Because you see, Satan does not know when the Antichrist is. Donald Trump, could he have been the Antichrist? Well, possible. I don't know. But, you see, here's the thing. Satan doesn't know, so he has people lined up for I'll give him 25 billion more years on Earth. But he's got them lined up. He knows who they are, and they're all lined up. Because whenever God says, "All right, here we go, let's do it," and Satan's going to say, "All right," and so that's what's going to happen.
He's being prophetic now.
Well, yeah, I am being prophetic, but I don't know when. But again, like I said before, I don't think it's going to be in my lifetime, your lifetime, your son's lifetimes, your grandson.
Well,
just not anytime soon. And
what scares me is your future generations of your family.
Yeah.
If
yeah.
Like I said, I don't see a third temple.
Just take a look at
the
world today.
If anybody tries to destroy that Dome of the Rock, the Muslims are going to go to war.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you'll have this thing with China and Russia and America and all spying on each other. This is going to outdo that.
Yeah.
And you'll have a really big Third World War then. The Muslims, they're not going to give up the Dome of the Rock.
Right.
This one of my pastors, previous pastors, went on a tour of the Holy Land, and they got to go up to the Dome of the Rock. Well, Israel soldiers guard the entrance, but you got an Islam soldier on top,
right,
watching the rock. And if he catches you bowing down to pray, he runs you off.
Mm-hmm.
That's how serious the Muslims are about that Dome of the Rock.
Yeah.
And it's got to be destroyed. And if the temple's put up, the doors of the temple's got to face the east. So, like I told you, in my opinion, there's no third temple. There's no Antichrist that there's going to be a covenant made with.
Well, if you can't see it, I can't help you.
Well, you can't see it. It's in the book of Daniel. That covenant.
I'm seeing it now. I'm seeing everything being prepared for that.
But it's
symbol
not,
for the abomination of desolation.
You know that they.
Wait.
No, it's okay. But you know that there's rumors out there that they're saying that the elites, the ones that are in charge of the small group of men that are in charge of all the everything, the big corporations and everything, that they're purposely making all these things happen on purpose because they know what the Bible says to make us believe that we are in the last days and that all these things are going to take place.
Again, my point. Anyway.
Well, you could have said that 100 years ago.
Yeah. And again, like I said before, I'll give you 200 years ago. I mean, 200 years in the future.
Here's the thing. Here's a story. I'm gonna tell you a story about my grandmother. They're country folks. Your nearest neighbor's like half a mile away.
Oh, heck yeah.
She's a little girl. Don't know what an automobile is. So she's out there in the yard, and this automobile comes down the road. Well, it blows its horn. You know what her reaction is? Jesus is coming back. Jesus is coming back.
Right. The trumpet sound. Yeah, the
So,
trumpets.
so what we're seeing today ain't no different than that. We don't know how
That's a
bad it
good
was.
point.
Back 1917 through
That's
19.
fair. That's fair. Mm-hmm.
Back through 1917 to 1919 during World War I, we had the biggest case of influenza that ever hit.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people died. I had two great uncles that died as teenagers from that. And it was kind of like COVID. It was like COVID. People probably looking at COVID and say, well, this has got to be one of the signs of the end of the time.
Yeah.
Well, influenza was doing the same thing then, and people were required to wear a mask back then.
Yes, sir, they were.
So today is no different than it is then. We may think it's bad, but we didn't live back then to see how bad it was back then.
Yeah, back when medicine wasn't even good, or I mean, as advanced as it is now. How did we get off on that? I can't think. Hey, Dave, don't worry. You'll get old and senile.
Yeah.
Like me.
But I mean, I don't believe that the elites, they just made this up and just, wrote it in a book and just gave it to us. Like I mean, there's so many supernatural events that have happened from from the time that it was from the time that I was born, other people were born, in this generation, whatever, or the generation before, like there's certain things that you just know there's a God. This is not some made up thing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Sorry. Let's get back. Let's get back.
Yeah. You see, I know what it is, David. As much as I love him, he knows how to push my buttons.
See, I've been around a lot longer than he has. I was here before computer ever was.
Yep.
So I see the stuff.
Yeah.
And from what my grandparents told me, living through the 20s and the 30s during the Depression, I mean, and you had the Dust Bowl and all that stuff. We ain't seen nothing like that yet.
No.
We just don't hope it hits nothing like that happens in America again.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Just don't do it.
Yeah, that's true. But then again, it's prophesied, that that it will get worse until it gets better. Or before
that's true. That's true.
However that saying goes.
I'm still listening, guys. I'm still listening. I'm just going to put the cam off for a minute. Okay? I'm still listening. I'm just going to put the cam off for a minute, okay?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, you're good.
Okay. Well, here's the thing about post World War II. Things got better.
Yeah.
And then Vietnam comes around along, and 70 comes around, and then you had the gas shortages. Things got worse.
Oh yeah.
Reagan comes around, and he helps out some, but when Clinton becomes president, them 8 years he was president, you could get rich quick.
Yeah. Where'd you go off to, son?
Oh, I just went to go turn on the air.
But yeah,
I'm kind of sweating in this long sleeve shirt here. So.
But it's definitely in stream. But anyway, go ahead, David.
Okay.
Go ahead with our next one.
We're on number 17, I think. 19. That's about Egypt. number 17.
I wonder if the Ark of the Covenant's on there.
This one here says number 17 is like we're counting down out of it.
Yeah.
An ancient rival of the tribe of Judah was the kingdom of Edom. Was widely believed to have been an exaggerated myth until modern archaeological discoveries. So, I'm thinking about Esau. Was he the one that started the kingdom of Edom?
I think so. Because because it was Jacob. It was Jacob and Esau, which is Israel and Esau. And I think Esau was part of the tribe part of the tribe of Edom.
Maybe they'll tell us. According to the biblical narrative, Edom was an ancient kingdom neighboring the kingdom of Judah, engaging sustained conflict with the rivals.
Yeah,
The
it is. It is because Israel is a separate. You see what I'm saying? Because you had Israel and then you had Judah. So yeah. Go ahead.
The Edomites were supposedly defeated by King Saul before being subjugated by King David into vassalage.
Vassalage.
Yeah, vassalage is when you annex a country. So that's how David. David expanded the kingdom of Israel.
Gotcha.
Conquering these others around him and setting them up as part of Israel, but not exactly Israel.
Yeah.
You own them, but then you didn't own them.
Wow.
That don't make sense.
Yeah, and he conquered. Yeah, and he conquered a lot though. In the like, it shows a lot of kingdoms that he conquered. King David.
Yeah, usually a vassalage kingdom will have to maybe like once a year bring gifts, tokens, or taxes to whoever conquered them, because that's what they want from you. And if you don't bring them, guess what? You're going to get policed.
True.
Okay, historical opinions traditionally viewed this claim with great skepticism, with the consensus being held that the Edomites, believed to have been a predominantly pastoral civilization, remained too small in size and power to assemble an army as described. However, modern archaeological explorations have greatly expanded the potential scale of the ancient kingdom and official tacit corroboration. Discoveries at the Khirbat, Khirbat, in Nahas, Ennaahs, archaeological site have concluded that the kingdom of Edom was not merely a pastoral society, but instead one chiefly focused on copper mining. Slag heaps, pottery, and even an Iron Age fortress dated to around the 10th century BCE all demonstrate the long-standing existence of a far more advanced and militarized civilization.
Yeah.
Further adding to the historical of the biblical story, reference is made to an Egyptian ruler who invaded the area in the years after the death of Solomon to claim the resources of Edom. Recent archaeological surveys have uncovered an ancient Egyptian amulet in modern-day Jordan, inscribed with the name of Pharaoh Shishon.
I was going to say Shishon, the palace.
That's almost like Shished.
Yeah.
Very mineral rich, sounds like. Even the Egyptians wanted it. Yeah. Somebody, I think God told somebody, I don't know if it's Saul or David or Solomon, to euthanize Edom and wipe it off the face of the earth.
Yeah, yeah. There is there. I can't remember where exactly in the Bible, but it says that there is going to be judgment on Edom. Yep. Yep.
True.
Okie dokie. We're going to get down here to number 16.
Making good progress.
Remaining a matter of historical dispute, the James Ossuary supports the biblical inclusion of Jesus' brothers as a defiance of traditional church teachings. Let me read that again.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, please do.
Remaining a matter of historical dispute, the James Ossuary supports the biblical inclusion of Jesus' brothers in defiance of traditional church teachings. I'm going to have to see what this says to get a better understanding here. James the Just, an early leader of the Jerusalem church of the apostolic age who died in martyrdom in approximately 69 CE, has remained the focus of sustained speculation regarding his relationship with Jesus. Described in the Gospels of Matthew and Mark as the brother of Jesus who is called Christ, among other siblings. Traditionally, Christians' doctrine teaches that Mary remained a perpetual virgin and thus did not bear any other children than Jesus. Well, that scripture right there proves that wrong.
Yep.
It's just only James about the only one we find out.
Yeah. But doesn't it also say that there's, Jesus and his siblings, plural?
Yeah, that's plural.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah.
So it's not just James, I mean,
Let's see that.
because remember they were all at the crucifixion.
Yeah. So like the book of, well, I don't know about his siblings, but you got the book of James, which they say that's his brother.
Oh yeah.
And so he didn't come to believe that Jesus was the Messiah until after the crucifixion.
Right. James.
Mm-hmm.
James.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
James.
What I'm wondering is, did the others follow suit?
Hmm.
And if they did,
His siblings?
they were, yeah. If they did, they weren't very much of an influence like James was.
Yeah.
Because I think James was one of the head churches in Jerusalem.
But then again, if you think about them being the siblings of Jesus,
Well, yeah, let's say Mama likes Jesus better than like me.
yeah.
They could have been jealous of him.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not. They didn't come to know Jesus as the Messiah.
It blows my mind that they talking about them. They were, forget about the disciples, forget about everybody else, but his family. Mary, Joseph, his siblings. At the end of Matthew, and I think John or Luke, I can't remember, but the Great Commission. But before the Great Commission, it says that some doubted. And then one of the other Gospels mentions the names who doubted. So, and I think James was one of them. And it's just, you see this guy do all these miracles from your birth, because Jesus is older than you, and
He is your older brother.
yeah.
That's true.
And
Well, you see what the Pharisees told him. They said, "You must be the devil. You work these miracles." But he says,
yeah,
"Why would the devil want to do good stuff?" But it gets you wondering about when you have your own children, you get to wondering, well, I want them to come to know Christ so they can go to heaven too.
Yeah.
And then, but here I'm wondering, it doesn't say anything about Jesus's siblings, if they were saved or not.
Right.
So it makes you kind of wonder if any of them made it. We know James did, but what about the others? And you know, by reading this, what we do have of the Gospels,
Mm-hmm.
Jesus never really stressed his own concern for his own brothers. I don't know if he had any sisters, but his own brothers. But you know, at the cross, his mother was there, and what was he said? I think he told one of the disciples, "Behold, thy mother," or something like that.
Yeah. Behold, this is your mother. Behold, this is your father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then there's one time, she sent one of the siblings to come get him, and he more or less saying that I am with my family.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
if I don't know if he left it up to God himself to include his siblings or not, but he doesn't seem concerned that they were believing in him or not.
Right.
But just for those that were already believing in him,
yep.
claiming them as his family.
He could have had more brothers. I don't know.
Well, let's go on and read what else it says. Is held by the Catholic, Eastern Orthodox, and most Protestant churches, the argument remained inconclusive until the discovery of the James Ossuary. Unearthed southeast of the Temple Mount in the Kidron Valley region, the James Ossuary is a limestone box that once housed the bones of a highly respected individual. Dating from the 1st century of the Common Era, it bears the inscription, James, son of Joseph, brother of Jesus. The authenticity of this inscription, but not the box itself, has been challenged. The refusal of the state of Israel to permit the international archaeological community to perform their own independent assessment has merely intensified speculation concerning the relic, with historical opinion divided regarding the veracity of the ossuary. Well, it sounds like there's a roadblock there.
Yeah.
You guys can't do any more work on it. So, well, what do you believe, Israel? Is that James or not?
Yeah.
So it was a box. It was a box of stone, right? Like a stone box. Or?
It was a limestone box.
Yeah.
Okay, limestone box. So I'm not sure what stone was used for the 10 Commandments. For all we know, it could have been limestone.
Well, it don't matter what it's made out of. God's finger is powerful enough to write on it.
Yeah.
Hey, yes, yeah, of course. But I was just saying, you know,
limestone is soft. It's a soft rock. You can just take a chisel and knock it out.
That's interesting. Okay.
So, the authenticity of this inscription, but not the box itself. So it must be chiseled in on the box too.
Mm-hmm.
It had bones in it, but I think what the challenge would be that anybody could have stuck that on there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
Israel,
yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Israel ain't gonna let them know if it was or not because they don't want any further archaeological work on it.
Yeah, that's true. Got anything else?
No, how long we been on? 2 hours.
It's about to be 1:11 shortly.
1 hour.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have a comment by Linda Bailey. I don't know if that's Linda Swan, but I don't know who you are. But you say that Jesus did have sisters. So
Oh.
I mean, pretty cool. I mean, it's
We know he wasn't an only child, that's for sure.
right. I mean,
Of course.
I'd have to see some, scripture in that, and also, if you anybody look in the line wanting to say something or do make a comment or something, we will read it. Now if we get a million comments at a time, which I don't know if that'll ever happen. This is easy. So Linda,
we got one.
Yeah, this is easy.
He's excited. We got one.
We got one. Yes.
Progress. Yes,
Linda,
thank you for the comment.
It's something that that's what we're here to do. We're here to,
speculate,
cause trouble, and get something done. But anyway, so Linda goes on to say, Jesus did have sisters. Okay, cool. During that time, women's names were not traditionally mentioned. That makes sense. So, Linda.
Well, yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, Linda, if you want to kind of elaborate on that, we're about to shut it off, but you can. I think you can still make a comment after you end the live. I don't know how you do that, but anyway, so yeah. I mean, you got anything, Professor Chicken Man?
Professor Chicken Man?
Professor, Chicken Man. Professor Tillison.
Well, here's a little something on the subject of his siblings.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
The brothers of Jesus, or the Delphoi, which is Greek of the same womb, which would be Mary's womb, are named in the New Testament as James, Josie or Jose, Joscs.
Jose.
It's a form of Joseph.
I think yeah.
Simon and Jude. And unnamed sisters are mentioned in Mark and Matthew. Now, what she's saying about female names are usually not mentioned in the Bible?
Yeah, not traditionally mentioned.
They have to be pretty important to be mentioned in.
Yeah. Well,
I wonder if this Jude, this can't be the same Jude that wrote the book of Jude, is it? Or is it?
I don't know, it could be, but I mean,
if that's the case, you got two brothers that wrote books in the Bible.
Yeah.
The New Testament. So.
But needless to say, I mean, I wouldn't know if
what she said made sense.
I mean, yeah, but but at the same time, you got someone who, the Bible, especially in the genealogies, it only mentions the men, so that does make sense. Kind of like after Adam and Eve. They had Cain and Abel and Shem, and then after that they had other sons and daughters.
Yes, that's right. That's
Who would
right.
have
That's
thought?
right.
Who would have thought it?
Yeah. No, for sure. No, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean the thing is like, and just so everybody's listening, especially women, that are listening, like we're not putting down women in any way, shape, or form. We're not saying that. Oh well, wait. So what are you trying to say? You're trying to say that that only men should be in the Bible, right? And then I want to clarify that actually in the book of Judges there were actually women that Yahweh chose as judges, and they were important people.
Yeah.
And there's like Ruth, even Ruth is important. Ruth is important, and things like that. So just because the sisters were not named in the Bible doesn't mean that they're not important. You know, uh, but yeah, it would make sense that and I mean think about it, right? How long they lived, right? I mean, we can live until we're supposed to live to 120 according to the scriptures, right?
And can I say this?
Go
I
ahead.
will beat that or die trying. Go ahead.
Right. That's a good one. That's a good one. But yeah, so again, like their life expectancy was much larger than ours. So it's highly plausible that they would that Mary would have daughters too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like it had to happen. It had to. I mean, there's just too many boys.
Well,
It's not Linda. It's not our Linda. But yeah, go ahead.
well, the I think I'm thinking that
That's a dangerous thing. That's a dangerous thing, Leo.
usually the women you find in the Bible, God had a purpose there.
Most definitely.
But they're actually in the minority when they're not listed.
Mhm.
And I don't want to say that it makes them any less than men,
Mhm.
but I think it goes to show that God created Adam first, and that man should lead.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the head of the household. Right. I mean, that's just what
Yeah,
it is.
and if I may also say this, that I think it's especially in today's culture with that girl that we talked about
Had a dream.
yeah
Yeah.
I got her I know what she is, ladies and gentlemen. Gypsy is woke. But anyway, so
I might not know either.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah,
You
that's
mentioned-
beside the point.
you mentioned some in the Old Testament. There's some mentioned in the New Testament.
Yes.
Oh yeah. It's in both.
What's that woman's name that dyed clothes for a living? It's in the book of
God
Acts.
clothes in
Rebecca.
the Book of Acts.
It's in the book
Let
of
me
Acts.
go there.
Rebecca.
See.
Deborah.
I don't know.
Or it was Deborah in the Old Testament.
Well, see, Paul went to their city on his missionary journeys, and the thing about Paul is he wouldn't start a church right off the bat. He would go to the synagogue of the city and talk to the Jewish leaders there. Well, in this city, there was no men leading the way.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
This lady, this woman, she was leading the way. They had no synagogue. And I think they would meet down by a creek or a river somewhere and hold services.
Yeah.
But it was Jewish services. It wasn't Christian. I mean, there was no Gentiles. She was doing it. She was Jewish. Was it Lydia? I'm thinking Lydia.
Yeah, I see Lydia. I see Lydda. Is that it?
That might be
Yeah, I
her.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, she messed with dyes. She dyed clothes for a living, or something like that.
Let me see here. Because, and I also see Tabitha. It says a disciple named Tabitha lived in the city of Joppa. Her Greek name was Dorcas.
Yeah. Dorcas is one in the New Testament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see, even back then, if men don't take the lead, God will allow the women to.
Yeah, but see, no, you make a good point. You make a good point of that because that's something else that I'm going to talk about in my marriage and divorce. We'll call it the seminars because I already did part one, but we'll do part two and everything. But this is another thing that has to happen too because in marriages, even though both people believe in God, and they're both working towards that same goal, it can happen where the husband is not actually doing what he's supposed to be doing in the marriage, right? He's not following the vows. He's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's not stepping up as a man, right, and doing what he needs to do according to what God says. So then, in that respect, the woman would then take that, and then bring the husband back and say, no, you need to lead, not me, but you know what I'm saying? But she would do that for her family, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
But also,
Yeah.
Again, you made me lose my train of thought there.
I didn't mean to.
You did. Okay, there.
You talking about that boy.
Yeah.
Dorcas?
No. It took too long. But anyway. So, there's a lot of people that, especially in today's day and age, talking about the woke girl too, but women are dominated by men. Women matter. So therefore, Paula, God rest her soul, or however they do that, used to say that women are in charge. It doesn't matter what the man says, but women are in charge. And then I mean, it's just when people say that, it just makes me, I don't know, cringe because it's the man is the head of the household, and I mean that's not me saying it. That's what the Bible
Yeah,
says.
that's what the Bible says. Right, exactly. It's not our opinion. It's not our opinion.
I can tell you what happened.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
Well, it's in Genesis. It's the two.
Yeah.
It's the two curses.
Right.
It's in Genesis.
I'm talking about what he's referring to is where women say they're in charge.
Yeah. No.
It happened during World War II.
Uh-huh.
A lot of your airplanes and tanks and stuff like that were being built by women.
Mm-hmm.
Men were all fighting wars. Women were one producing all the stuff to fight with.
Mm-hmm.
Men come, war's over. Men come back. Then women don't want to give up their job.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, isn't that like I can do it?
Women's been working ever since.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's why when I was growing up, and when my mom and dad were growing up, the man brought in the bacon, and the woman fried it up in the pan. She had responsibilities at home.
Right.
Really, the working was not an option. She was working.
Right.
Yes, and that's important, brother. That's really important that women need to see. Men also need to see this too.
Well,
that Go ahead. Go ahead.
The trouble now is the economy.
Yeah.
Back then, a man could make a living for his family,
Yeah. Now women have to work.
but today it takes two to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh wait, we got a comment. We're getting comments.
Yeah, that's that Linda chick
What'd she say? I can't read through that.
about Jesus having siblings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, she said women's names were not traditionally mentioned. Thank you so much for the comments.
Yep. My hat's off to you. I don't normally wear a hat, but my hair was
Blowing in the wind today.
blowing in the wind today. Yeah.
But seriously, like we need to state this as fact, like on record, on air, live, right now, to everyone watching, men and women, that women work very hard. Okay, they have a huge responsibility in the home. So it's not that they're not hard workers or that they can't do certain things. In fact, they're designed to do certain things, and men are designed to do certain things, and that's why he ordered it that way. So just want to clarify that.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Good to know. Yeah, that's true.
and usually your families nowadays, about two children is about the most they ever have. Before that,
What's
grandparents, it was
What's that guy that had?
anywhere from 3 to 12.
Yeah, was that famous guy that had like 12 kids?
I thought it was a woman.
Oh,
No, it wasn't a Mormon.
wasn't there?
Linda,
Yeah.
you won. If you put out the comment, the answer to the person that had, it was something like Bob Jones or something. I don't know. But anyway, Linda, that's your
Well,
that's your task for this
there
week.
was. I know there was one guy, family. He had one for every year up until his. I think his oldest daughter was like 20.
Right.
So he had like 20 kids. It wasn't just 12. I think it was 20. He had one every year.
Woo!
And
Hey, I mean,
she was, because at 20 she was getting married, and I think that's when all that started.
yeah.
So if I'm not mistaken, I believe he had one for every year.
Mhm.
After 9 months, she get pregnant again.
Hey, what the Bible say though? Be fruitful and multiply.
Yeah, I mean that. Hey,
That's really what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to limit ourselves to one kid or two kids.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with
now-
that. I agree with that. Yeah.
Now, a friend of mine, Lauren Haynes, who now lives in Leslie Haynes. Lauren Haynes lives across the street. Leslie lives in Arizona or California or New York or somewhere out. But she said that she doesn't have any kids yet, but they're going to have as many kids until God closes the womb or however that's saying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and that's how it's
Has
supposed to be.
Has she had any yet?
I don't know. I haven't seen Lauren. I
Well,
haven't seen Leslie in years.
But let me tell you.
They can
But
they can go into a marriage with intentions to say, I'm going to have 5 kids.
Yeah.
But after they have that first one, they start backing off.
Yeah.
They found out
Yeah.
how much trouble they could be.
Well, anyway, Leo, you got anything else?
Well, this is a really great discussion. It's awesome that Linda, that she was commenting. That's pretty cool that you can do that live like that, and we can actually answer questions as she's putting the comments, which is great. So thank you so much, Linda, for that. Again, I just wanted to reaffirm that women are important. Okay, men are important, but women are also important.
Hey,
And
WLM.
W what?
WLM, Women
Tell
Lives
me.
Matter.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I know, man. It's just look. You know what? You know what? Okay, I'm gonna say this. So just like you said, WLM, right? Women Lives Matter. Well, guess what happens? Well, guess what happens when you switch that W upside down? What do you get?
True, yeah.
You get the letter M. So either way you look at it, both of our lives matter. Both genders matter, okay? And there's only two genders, okay?
Oh, really? You had me
So
confused there. I thought I was freaking out. So if anyone, whoever's watching, I mean, be sure to send your questions or comments to, in the comments section, or you can email us at corndogsandcoffee2017. Yes, that is the thing, at gmail.com. And email your questions there. I need to update that. But and also drink Kansas coffee. And David's got
We got a place here called Call Coffee.
yep. That's not Alabama coffee though.
Yeah. Well, before he moved to Kansas, and we were doing this on a Tuesday night, he would, I guess, give them free advertisement. That's what he was doing.
Yep, so go see Jared. But anyway, so that's about all the time that we have for today. But remember, comments and email you comments, and we will get to them. We want to see them flood in so we can have something like a
Discussion.
Yeah, a discussion or comments on comments or anything. I mean, and also like and subscribe and tell everybody about us. Linda, if you got a friend, a family, a hamster, a cat, a dog, go share this YouTube channel with everybody, because our sole purpose is to, well,
Just
you
talk about God.
You get to hear
yes.
a bunch of old guys goof around and talk, but the end goal is to get the gospel out. So, with that being said,
let's get the gospel out. We got to get the gospel out.
Well,
Here we go. This won't take, but
no, you're good, Dave, Professor.
and here is the gospel. I think I said this, read this I don't know if it was last week or week before last. Now, all things are of God, who has reconciled us to himself through Jesus Christ and has given us the ministry of reconciliation. That is, God was in Christ reconciling the world to himself, not imputing their trespasses to them, and has committed to us the word of reconciliation. And that's us.
Yeah.
Now then, we are ambassadors for Christ, as though God were pleading through us. We implore you on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God. For he made him who knew no sin to be sin for us, that we might become the righteousness of God in him. For I delivered to you, first of all, that which I also received, that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures, and that he was buried, and that he arose again the third day according to the Scriptures. If you confess with your mouth the Lord Jesus and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For with a heart one believes unto righteousness, and with a mouth confession is made unto salvation. There is your gospel.
And it's really that easy, right? So, with that being said, we will see you next week.
If David don't get put on night shift.
Yeah, this is also true. All right, see you then. Bye.
All right. Bye.